'94 has a special place in my heart because this is the year that Super Metroid came out on the Super Nintendo.
Yep.
This is my favorite game of all time, actually, and it shows up on all kinds of best of lists. EGM called it the #1 game of all time. IGN actually named it the 7th best game of all time. Definitely for good reason. Just an incredible video game all around.
Yeah.
I was going to say, 94, the games that are on this list are some of the most, like, kind of significant, like, sit up and pay attention. Like, these are games that I remember, like, playing at friends' houses and being like, games are pretty cool. And up until that point, it would be like, yo, Cody's got Sega. But then it was like, Super Metroid, huh?
Yeah.
This is the year that video games became like your thing, your jam.
Well, I just was like, they could be so much more. I mean, we got Super Metroid. That was actually the first game that I remember making my own file on. Like, I didn't have a Super Nintendo until later, but my friend was like, yeah, you should play it. And I'm like, you mean I don't just pick it up and start running one direction? It's like you actually have to explore and get into it, and it's just the atmosphere in that game, the soundtrack, still some of my most kind of vivid memories of gaming ever. So,
it's such a, we were talking about this earlier, it's a prime example of what Nintendo did from the 8-bit to the 16-bit generation, where they sort of built these bases, these spines with stuff like Mario and Zelda and Metroid.
And they were great on the NES.
Oh yeah, they were absolutely ahead of their time.
Prototypical.
Yeah. But then with Mario World, with Link to the Past, and especially with Super Metroid, they took that formula and just created something perfect out of it.
Yeah.
And Super Metroid, it sort of lulls you into that full sense of like you're going through the same area as the original Metroid. You're like, oh, this is just going to be like that. But once you finally get to Zebus and you realize it's this giant, quasi-open world that. Super Metroid did help sort of coin that term that later on the Metroidvania, where
it's half of the term Metroidvania.
It is, it's the first half, not the second half.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
It's also a game that absolutely excels at like nonverbal environmental storytelling.
Yeah. Right, that's a big thing that always jumps out at me, and that's something that little Justin, when I was playing it, I was 11 or 12, I just liked the gameplay, and now that I play as an adult, I pick up on more of that, more of how this place feels so hostile and alien and terrifying, and like when you replay that game today, the planet actually wakes up. Yeah. Like you're scanned by this little scanner beam, and you fight a first boss, and now all these rooms that were empty now have animals and aliens and things in them, and like that's incredibly creepy. Like the creepy vibe that game gives off. And for it to be a Nintendo-made game where the title screen has dead bodies on it, these dead scientists, and I didn't pick up that they were dead scientists when I was a kid. I just didn't even really think about it.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those first console games that I noticed. Like, I mean, that's console games in like the old school sense, where you feel that it's more mature than you are supposed to be playing when you're that age. At least when I was that age. Yeah. And you go through and you see like the bodies, and you see like just like broken computer screens, and everything's all dark, and there's that really like
there's a wrecked ship
ambient,
with
like
ghosts
dark
in it.
tones.
That environmental storytelling is so strong.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It conveys so much to the player without the use of tutorials or anything. Like when you first get to No Fair, you enter a room, and all of a sudden your health starts going down, and there's heat lines everywhere, and you're like, oh. Crap! Like this is.
It's actually Norfair. It wasn't fair, is what I think you were getting at.
Jesus. Was it Norfair?
Yeah, it's Norfair.
No, you don't pronounce the R.
It's not fair.
It's not fair. But then other things, like when you fall down that pit and you see those little animals, the nice animals, they teach you how to wall jump. Like,
and then
that is incredible.
At the end of the game, it's completely optional, but you can help them escape.
You can save
planet.
them. It's the best.
Well, I love that it starts out. It's like the last Metroid is in captivity.
Yeah.
The galaxy is at peace, and then there's this kind of like almost. It's like at the beginning of Blade Runner when they're like, what's a replicant? Or Star Wars when they're like, here's what's going on. But then after that, it's completely just, it tells itself to you. It tells its own story, and it's just, really, you pretty much shoot everything except the little animals, and you'll be okay.
And it does, like, without spoiling, it has one of the most satisfying final bosses and sort of endings.
Yeah, it's great. The ending is very sort of melancholy and mature and adult and just like kind of mind-blowing for young children, 12-year-olds that are playing that game like me. I actually have an interesting. Super Metroid has been my favorite game ever since it came out, and I distinctly remember I was a Genesis kid growing up, so I had to borrow my friend's SNES, and he loaned me this game. I didn't know anything about it, and I got stuck. I got stuck forever in Meridia. Just couldn't figure out how to progress. Didn't know where I was supposed to go, and I solved it just before like a band concert. I was supposed to be getting ready for a band concert.
What'd you play?
I was a percussionist because I would just slack off in the back and just bang on the xylophone.
Hit the triangle.
Yeah. And so I had like half my band outfit on. I had my like slacks on. I'm playing Super Metroid, and I'm desperately trying to find a save point because I did it. I figured out where to go. I beat the boss, and I'm like, I gotta save. My mom's screaming at me, and I'm trying to find a save point. Gotta go! Yeah, I'm like, just a minute. And then I finally, the story is a happy ending. I found a save point. Was late to my band concert.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, but you rocked out on that trombone.
And it's one of those.
It was a victory. It was a victory concert.
I've played that game. I don't play it quite once a year, but I play it frequently, and so now like. I can never get that feeling back, but of just being stuck and not knowing where. Like I got the ice beam. What do I do with it? Where do I go?
Yeah.
And like running all over the map and finally opening up a new area felt so.
Yeah, and I mean, it's over 20 years later, and literally every E3 people are still like, I want a 2D Metroid. And what they really want is just a game as good as this.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and what's crazy is that genre did go away for a while. I mean, we got Symphony of the Night and some Castlevania games, but now they're everywhere. Like now, the kids that grew up on Super Metroid are 25 and 30 years old, and now every indie game is a Metroidvania.
They're making Guacamelee, and they're making Dust.
Yeah. Guacamelee and games like Shadow Complex, like big commercial efforts and tiny indie efforts, all sort of Axiom Verge. The list of games that are inspired by Super Metroid goes on, and it felt like one of those things that was gone and was never going to come back, and now it's back and bigger than ever, which is fantastic.
Everybody is happy.
The galaxy is at peace.
There you go.